everyone, welcome to our instructional video for this week's library activity kit. I'm so glad you could join us. Now, in your kit, you have a cup like this. I have two, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. You have some paint powder. Mine is in a jar, but yours is in a little bag. You have a container with some dish soap in it. I have my dish soap right there, and you have a straw. Now what we're going to do with all this is we're going to do a cool kind of painting called bubble painting. And this is great for all ages. I'm going to start with the very simplest version and kind of get more complicated as we go through the video. So if you only want to do the first part of this, that's fine. If you want to go all the way to the end and see the more complicated version, that's fine too. First thing we're going to do, I've put some water in my cup already. I'm actually going to put this and my second cup and my second thing of dish soap aside for now, so that I can just show you what you're going to be doing. All right, so you're going to take your paint powder and you're going to start with just a little. Don't dump the whole thing in there quite yet. So you dump your powder in and stir it up and see if you like that color. That might be dark enough or saturated enough. If it is, you can go with that. If you want it to be a little bit more saturated, you can. What you don't want is thick, goopy paint texture. You want it to still be basically like colored water right now. A good way to see how it's going to look on paper is to drag it kind of up the side and see what the drips look like. Then you're going to take your dish soap. Mine's gonna take a minute to drip to the bottom, and you're gonna add it to your paint water. You can see I already have some bubbles at the top of mine, and stir it in. All right, I've got some painty soapy water. I'm gonna add a little bit more soap just in case. And if you do this and you find that your bubbles aren't staying for a long time, or if you want more bubbles, you can always add more soap. And if you find that the color isn't quite what you wanted and you want it to be a little bit darker, you can always add more of your paint powder. I tried to give you enough that you can do a few rounds of this. All right, we've got some nice soapy painty water. I'm going to put my spoon aside, and you're going to take your straw. Now, if you are a parent who is doing this with your toddler, a great tip I found online was to take a small pin or a thumbtack and just poke a hole in one side of the straw, which makes it easier to blow through, not suck in and drink your paint water by mistake. You also may, if you're doing this with a toddler, want to practice blowing through the straw before you put it in your cup. That is just fine. So we are going to take our straw and put it in our paint water with soap, and we are going to do something that probably your parents have always told you, no, don't do that. So parents, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't do this with your milk, but you should do this with your paint. You're gonna blow into your cup and then take a piece of paper. Mine is kind of thick. That can help it keep from getting wet. And I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna go boop down on my cup. And I don't know if you can see it, mine is very faint. There are purple bubbles. on my paper. So I think I would like some more paint in my water so that it's a little bit brighter colored and you can see a little bit more of the purple. So I'm gonna dump that in and mix it up. And you can also tell it doesn't take a lot of the paint water to make these. You really don't need a ton. This tempera paint powder also cleans up really easily, so if you spill it, you can just wipe it up and you've already got soap in there. All right, let's try again. Get some nice bubbles going, and pop. There, that's better. And you can see when the bubbles pop, you can kind of still see the impression of them on my paper, and you can keep going. If you have other kinds of paint at home, you can use those to do this as well. Watercolor paints work very well for this. Acrylic paints. For the older kids, we're going to talk in a little while about how you could do this with maybe fabric paint. So there you go. You have made some bubble painting. Hooray! And if you feel like that is what all you want to do with this, that is just fine. It's lots of fun. And this is a great outside activity, or you can do it inside if you are careful or you put down something on your table first. And there you have your bubble painting. If you're a little older and you want to see some more complicated versions of this, stick around. And I'm going to put my purple water aside, and we're going to talk about other kinds of paint. So what I have here is acrylic paint. This is also water soluble. We've talked about water soluble before with our mandalas. This is going to just add another layer of color. If you have paint at home, or if you want to go out and get paint to add to your bubble paintings, that is just fine. Make that a nice hot pink color. It's the same process. You just have to make sure that your paint is water-based, so that you can mix it into the water, because it being thinned out by the water is what's going to make it possible to make those bubbles. If you wanted to get really fancy, you could even do this with fabric paint and use it to make bubble prints on fabric for t-shirts or masks, any kind of clothes or accessories you want. Let's mix it up. You can also experiment with that if you get your own paint with layering colors, which is what we're going to do right now. I've got my nice purple splotches here, and I want to see what happens when I layer some pink on there. Ta-da! You can also try experimenting a little bit. What I'm finding right now is that I need more pink in there. And also, the smaller, denser bubbles leave more paint on your paper than, say, big bubbles. And that makes sense, because each bubble is actually, the outside is made up of paint, water, and soap, and the inside is all air, right? So when you pop it onto your paper, the outside leaves the paint behind and the inside just leaves air. Let's see if that leaves some better pink on my paper here. Oh yeah, check that out. That looks cool. So yeah, practice layering things, practice, you can try this with different kinds of paint, on different surfaces. See what makes you happy with your artistic vision. If you wanted to do this with bigger pieces of paper, you might want to get a wider bowl or cup so that you can cover more of the paper at once, or you can use a small one like this, which kind of adds to the circular nature of the painting. So once you have this, okay, you've got this nice picture here. You can keep that as art if you want. You could also, once it's dry and popped and all that, you could use it as sketch paper. You can use it as backgrounds for other drawings, for writing. You could use it as pieces in a collage, whatever you feel like. It looks pretty, I like it. I think it looks pretty cool. And the great thing is, because you're getting so little paint on it at a time, it's really kind of transparent and light. So you can write over this, you can draw over it. This would be a really cool way to make some galaxy drawings. You can also experiment with different colors of paper. I would be really fascinated to see what would happen if I had some black paper and did this with white paint. I think that would look really neat. It is completely up to you. It's your artwork. I hope you guys had a ton of fun making these. I hope you experiment and play around with it, and I hope that you have a wonderful week. I will see you next time. Bye!